Shalom everyone and welcome to Busisiwe. Blessed in English, Baruch in Hebrew, which means increase, fruitfulness and multiplication. I am Abigail. We're continuing with the series that we started, which is the renewed covenant. And what we're saying in this renewed covenant, we emphasize the point that it is still one covenant. The same covenant that is being renewed, that is being reinforced, that is being strengthened, that is being celebrated. This is the same covenant which was given to Abraham, who then communicated and told Yitzhak about what is it that Yahweh vowed, committed to do in this covenant, and what was expected of Yitzhak and his seed. And the same covenant then moved to Yisharal, the same covenant. Now, in last week's teaching, we're looking at this same covenant between Yahweh and Abraham, and of summary from that last week's study was that Yahweh promised Abraham, while he was Abram at the time, before his name was changed, but he promised him seed. If the number of his seed could be counted, it would be as many as the stars in the Shemayim. He promised him land. Because where was this multitude now going to live? They need the land. Yahweh always make a plan. And he always promised increase. He said that I will greatly increase you, and I will cause you to be exceedingly fruitful. And we can see from these words that Yahweh does not just do the minimum. He doesn't just say, I will increase you, but he says, I will greatly increase you. He doesn't say that I will cause you to be fruitful, but he says, I will cause you to be exceedingly fruitful. And he said to him that kings and nations will come from you. That was the covenant side of Yahweh, which it is impossible for him not to fulfill. And then on the other hand, what he expected and what Abram also agreed to in terms of this covenant was that he was going to circumcise all the males in his household, those born of his household and those bought of his household. All of them would be circumcised. And we also spoke about that this is not only speaking of the physical circumcision, but it also speaks of circumcision of the heart. And then Yahweh said, circumcision is the sign that I will know that you are set apart. It is part of it's the terms of your covenant, or it's part of the terms of the same covenant, your part of the covenant, that it becomes a sign, the circumcision, that you are set apart. Now, let us then continue looking at this covenant from the side of Yisharal. This covenant was given on Mount Sinai. So this is the time when Yahweh, on the third month after Yisharal left Mitzrayim or Egypt, that he descended on Mount Sinai, and then he spoke to them and also commanded Moshe to write down the commandments. Obviously, this was after the first tablets had fallen and cracked, and then Yahweh said Moshe must write them. But this is now from on today's teaching. This is where then we are taking from that this covenant then, which is the same covenant. Remember the covenant with Abraham. Yahweh promised Abram land, that his seed was to possess land. Now, as Yahweh now is making this covenant, reinforcing this covenant, because they've forgotten about even it having been in Mitzrayim for so many years. And then he then tells them that, listen guys, this is what you are to do to possess this land. The land is there. It has current occupants, which is the Canaanites, but I have given this land already to you, which I promised to your father Abram. This is what you need to do to take hold of this land, to possess this land. But not only to possess this land, but to keep it, because you could have something, but you can lose it as a result of disobedience. Now, the banner scripture then that we're going to be looking at today is Debarim, chapter 14, verse 13, otherwise known as Deuteronomy, chapter 14, verse 13, and it reads, "And he made known to you his covenant, which he commanded to you to do, the 10 commandments, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone." He made known to you what? He made known to you the covenant, and which he commanded you to do. These are the 10 commandments. So the 10 commandments are actually covenant terms, covenant instructions that you need to obey. Should you disobey these commandments, then curses will come to you. Then the increase that Yahweh had spoken to or spoken of in the covenant of Abraham, you're not going to have. The land that he promised, you are actually going to either be taken as captive to another land, and someone else will come and possess the land, or even in your land, someone will come and dominate you in your own land, which unfortunately, as we'll see as we go through the word, that as a result of disobedience, first time around, excuse me, sorry, as we can see that in the first instance, they were taken captive, to Babel as a result of disobedience, and they were there for 70 years. And then later, after 70 years, they went back to the land, Jerusalem, which Nehemiah was leading that transition, that group, but they still later on disobeyed. And then at some point they were occupied also by the Roman Empire, which colonized them. This was even the time of Yahusha. So all these things happened as a result of them disobeying his commandments. So the question that is very critical as we are in the generation that we're living in is, are you fulfilling the terms of this covenant? Referring to the 10 commandments. Are you obeying the 10 commandments? Because if you obey the 10 commandments, the blessings which were ascribed, the increase, the fruitfulness, the multiplication ascribed to the fulfillment of this covenant will come to you. The land, to possess the land, the being the head and not the tail, being kings, being a peculiar nation will happen. But if you do not, curses will then come upon you. And this is from generation to generation. It was not only for that particular time. Now, let us look at what happened then on Mount Sinai as we take from the book of Shemoth, chapter 19, verse 1, or Exodus chapter 19, verse 1. And it reads, "In the 3rd month, after the children of Yisharal had come out of the land of Mitzrayim, on this Yom, they came to the wilderness of Sinai. Yahuwah said to Moshe, declare to the children of Yisharal." What was Moshe supposed to declare to the children of Yisharal? He said, verse 4, "You have seen what I did to Mitzrayim and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. And now, if you diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be a treasured possession above all the people." If you do what? If you guard my covenant, you will be a treasured nation, a treasured possession above all the peoples. For all the earth is mine, says Yahuwah. "And you shall be to me a reign of priests and a Kodesh nation, a set apart nation." Those are the words which you are to speak to the children of Yisharal. Verse 8, "And all the people answered together," after Moshe communicated and told them what Yahuwah had said. The response of all the people, not some, but all of them, in one voice they said, "All that Yahuwah has spoken, we shall do." Then, after saying that, Moshe brought back the words of Yahuwah, the words of people to Yahuwah. If we read verse 18, same chapter, Shemot 19, verse 18, or Exodus 19, verse 18, it reads, "Mount Sinai was in smoke, all of it, because Yahuwah descended upon it in fire. Its smoke went up like the smoke of a furnace. All the mountains trembled exceedingly. When the blast of the ram's horn sounded long and became louder and louder, Moshe spoke, and Allah answered him by voice. Yahuwah came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mountain, and Yahuwah called Moshe to the top of the mountain and said, Moshe, and then Moshe went up. Now Yahuwah spoke, and they could hear, everyone could hear Yahuwah speaking. Now, what are we picking up here? Number one is Allah spoke all these words saying, I am Yahuwah, your Allah. I am Yahuwah, because Yahuwah is his name. Not only he's introducing himself in terms of his name, but he's also introducing himself in terms of his title. He says, I am Yahuwah, I am Yahuwah, your Allah, your most high, your high exalted one, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of slavery. This is how he introduces himself, by his name and his title. Then he gives them the 10 commandments. He says to them, and I am summarizing them, please go through the book of Shemot, chapter 19, Exodus chapter 19, from verse 1 to read the detailed commandments, because here I've summarized them. The first one, he says, do not have mighty one against my face. Do you know that we know the issue of the law of first impression? Anything that someone says the first time around, you have to take note of it. Seriously take note of it, because it is that important. It is an opening statement. And his opening statement, his opening commandment to them, he is saying, do not have mighty ones against my face. Now, what do we know about the face? A face is something that you look to. Like someone when says, show me your face, show me who you are. So he's saying, do not have other mighty one against my face. Look up to me. Don't give me your back. Don't look to other people, or don't look to other mighty ones. Let not your face other mighty one, but let your face face me, your Alwa. In verse 23, he then explains this. The same chapter, Exodus 19, verse 23, he says, you do not make besides me mighty ones of silver, and you do not make mighty ones of gold for yourself. Now, what is he speaking about? When he says, do not have mighty ones against myself, I believe this refers to what is it that you put confidence in. That's your mighty one. That's your God. At that particular time, whatever it is that you put in confidence in becomes your God. You can be your own God in terms of putting confidence in yourself, in terms of provision, that you have a good job, that your business is successful, that everything is going well for you. You do not have to trust Yahweh. You do not have to depend on Yahweh. You do not have to have your face towards the face of Yahweh, because you have other things, other persons that are taking the place of the one whom you should be looking up to. You can be your own God. You can make your spouse your God, other husband or wife, that my wife has a good job or my husband has a good job. We have a successful business, so everything is going well for you, that you've got everything, you are in good health, you're in good shape. Even if you are not feeling well at a particular time, you can afford medical aid to go to get best treatment in the land or even outside the country. Those who can even go outside the country. This can be your God. Money actually can be seen as a God, and to most people, money is a God to many people. Remember what verse 23 says. Exodus 19 verse 23 says, you do not make beside me mighty one of silver, and you do not make mighty ones of gold. Silver and gold is a representation of money. In so many ways, we can see that silver and gold represented money. We can take it from what Shimon said in the book of Acts, chapter 3, verse 6. When the guy that was paralyzed by the gate, I think it was called the beautiful gate by the entering the temple, he was begging for anything that he could get from the people that were coming to the temple. And Shimon responded and he said, silver and gold have I none, but such as I have, I give unto you. Silver and gold have I none. I don't have silver and gold. So silver and gold is a representative of money. And Yahweh tells us in Exodus 19 verse 23 that do not make besides me mighty ones of silver, and do not make mighty ones of gold. If we read also Matthew to also show that mighty ones refers to money, or could also amongst others refer to money, in the book of Matthew or Matthew chapter 6 from verse 24 to verse 25, it says, no one can serve two masters, for either he shall hate the one and love the other. No one can serve two masters, for either he shall hate the one and love the other, or else he shall cleave to the one and despise the other. You are not able to serve allure and riches. You are not able to serve mighty one and riches. Because of this, I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you shall eat or drink, or about your body, what you shall put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than the clothing? Who or what do you look up to fulfill your needs? Whoever you are looking up to fulfill your needs, whether it's the needs of clothes, whether it's the needs of food, whether it's the needs of drink, whether it's the need of shelter, whatever need, that become your master. That become your mighty one. That become your most high. That becomes your allure. Hence the first commandment says, do not have mighty ones against my face. Whatever it is that you need, come to me. You know, initially when I used to think about this verse, in verse 24, which says that you are not able to serve allure and riches, I thought of riches as your Porsche, your Lamborghini, your house by the beach, like rich, proper rich, like wealthy. But Yahweh does not necessarily speak about that rich. He speaks about the needs. And that's why the immediate verse in verse 25, it says, do not, because of this I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you shall eat, what you shall drink, or your body, what you shall put on. Is not life more than food, and body more than the clothing? So these things, the needs that you have, are seen as the riches, because even Yahusha says that the goyim, or the Gentiles, or the foreigners who are not within the household of Yisharal, they are seeking after the very same thing. But your Father knows that you have need of them. And what you are to do is to seek His kingdom, to seek His reign, and to walk in obedience. Obedience to His word, to His instructions, to His laws, to His Torah, to His commandments. And these things shall be added unto you, for your Father knows that you have need of them. So, when you go to the 10 commandments, the first one, I even shared this one of my sister, and I said to her that the first one does not refer necessarily to the mighty ones that we bow down to, as in literally worship and we bow down to, but it refers to who do you trust to meet your needs? Who do you go to for your needs to be met? Is it Yahuwah, or is the world system? Is it yourself? Is it your spouse? Is it your business? Is it your job? Is it your medical aid? Is it your insurance? Whatever it is, it becomes your mighty one. But the commandment then that has to do specifically with regards to worship, as in deity, is then the second commandment. The second commandment then says, do not make for yourself a carved image. The word to highlight there is image. Do not make for yourself an image. Verse 5, you do not bow down to them nor serve them. Now we see he's being specific that do not bow down, because you bow down to a deity. You bow down to something or someone that you worship. And then he says to us, he's instructing us that do not bow down to images. I know other version says to idols, but But the version that I'm using, which is BYNV, it says, and also the TS 2009, it says images. I believe it is images because there is a link with these images. And where do we find the link? Before we actually go to the link, he says in verse 5, do not bow down to them nor serve them. Why? For I am a jealous Allah. I am a jealous one. I cannot have you serving other mighty ones, bowing down to other mighty ones, bowing down to other images. And if we see the second verse, the second commandment and the first commandment, they are very much interlinked. They are very much intertwined, even though they say different things, but they are linked. Because ultimately, by virtue of him being jealous, he's going to be jealous of you trusting on your money. The word tells us that some trust in chariots, some trust in their strength, but I will trust in the name of Yahuwah. Put your trust in him, not in what he created. Put your trust in the creator, not the creation. Once you put your trust to his creation, you are provoking him to jealousy, because you are going to those things or that person instead of coming to him. Then he's going to be jealous. Like a husband. If I, being married and I have needs and I go to another man to fulfill my needs, my husband is going to be jealous that someone else is fulfilling my needs. I'm my face and I'm trusting and I'm looking at someone else instead of him. In so many ways, we are provoking Yahuwah to jealousy by trusting to other things which he created, even trusting to the opportunities that he gave you, whether it's an opportunity of a job, whether it's an opportunity of a business, whether it is a gift of a wife or a spouse or parents or family, whatever it is that you rely on, you depend on to meet your needs. When you have a problem, the first people that you contact are your friends. When you have a problem, the first person that you contact is your family. Instead of him being the first person that you speak to, you are provoking him to jealousy. Now, going back to the issue of why he's saying that do not make for yourself images, do not bow down to them, nor serve them. If we look at the book of Daniel, Daniel speaks about the Nebuchadnezzar setting up an image. It says it was an image. He set up an image, a statue, an image, which everyone had to bow down to. When that sound came, everyone had to bow down to that image. This is taken in the book of Daniel. But he told us already way before Daniel was even born, way before they were even taken to Babel as in captivity, in the times of them leaving Mitzrayim before entering the promised land in the 3rd month on Mount Sinai. He said, do not bow down to any images. An image is something that looks like. If you look at my photo, that's not me. A photo is an image of me. It's not me. Even as you're watching this video, you are watching an image of Abigail. So, an image is something that looks like, but it's not. It's an image of the Mighty One, but it is not the Mighty One. For there is only one Mighty One. There is only one Allah, and His name is Yahuwah. Another part where we see the issue of image is Revelation chapter 13, verse 15 to 17. And it says, Revelation 13, verse 15 to 17. And there was given to him to give a ruach to the image of the beast. We see again an image. This time it's an image of the beast. In the times of Daniel, there was an image of a particular stature that they had to bow down to. Revelation 13, verse 15 to 17, it says, and there was given to him to give a ruach, the spirit, to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause to be killed as many as would not worship the image of the beast. Here's another part of worshiping, that it speaks about the coming time where anyone who does not bow down and worship the beast would be killed. At that particular time, it's still a time that we're going to get to. It's a prophecy that hasn't been fulfilled yet. Are you going to bow down to that image of the beast? Are you going to worship that image of the beast? What will happen if you refuse to bow down to that image? What's going to happen if you refuse to worship that image? Verse 16 it says, and it causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark upon the right hand or upon their foreheads, and that no one should be able to buy or sell except he that has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of the beast. So there are two elements to this image of the beast. The first part of this image of the beast has to do with worship. And it says, anyone who does not worship the image of the beast shall be killed. That's the worship. That's the bowing down that Yahuwah said, that we must not bow down to any image. We shall not worship any image. Have you prepared yourself spiritually, psychologically, mentally, physically to say, if it means that I be killed, so be it. I will not bow down. Just like Daniel said, that I will not bow down to the statue that was presented, Nebuchadnezzar's statue, that people, if they were not bowing down to, they would be killed. The same that the Hebrew boys said, who said, Yahuwah is able to save us from this furnace fire. But even if He doesn't, we will still not bow down. Are you building up your belief? Are you building up your confidence in Him, your character, your trust in Him, that even if He doesn't, you will not bow? And then the second part then has to do with the economic, commercial terms, the finance system, the economic system, that no one will be able to buy or sell. It says He causes all. To cause something is to put so much pressure. What caused you to do what you did? Something happened to propel you to did what you did, to cause, to propel. He causes, He propels all, small, great, rich, poor, free, slave. No one is outside the spectrum, that if they do not take the mark upon the right hand or upon their foreheads, they will not be able to buy or sell except that mark. What is going to happen when you're not able to buy anything? Have you prepared yourself for that? Have you prepared for that particular time? I want to encourage you to start preparing yourself. Start preparing yourself spiritually, that you can be able to hear when the Ruach of Aleph Beth, the Ruach of Yahweh, tells you what to do at that particular time. If you knew now that this system, this beast system, were to come in 5 years' time, as an example, what is it that you will do differently to prepare yourself for 5 years' time? If you knew that this system, that if you do not have the mark, the name, or the number of the beast, you won't be able to buy or sell. In the times of Yosef, they knew that in 7 years' time there was going to be a famine that was going to affect the entire world. And they knew by revelation, which Yahweh gave Pharaoh a dream. And then Yosef interpreted the dream. And as a result of the knowledge, the revelation knowledge which the Ruach of Aleph Beth, the Ruach of Yahweh revealed to Yosef, Yosef then started preparing and told the nation of Mitzrayim and told the nation of Egypt what to do to prepare for what's going to come in the next 7 years. And that entailed storing up from the bountiful harvest that they were going to have in 7 years. The bountiful harvest that they were going to have in the 7 years. If we knew right now that in 5 years' time, this, I'm giving it an example, no one knows when it will come to pass, but hypothetically, if you were to know, imagine if that was the case, what would you do differently? Yosef started preparing beforehand. I put it to you, right now, start preparing, because we do not know when it will be effective. We see the signs around. We see the digital currency being progressing. We see social credit progressing. We see the digital ID progressing. We see so many things as the fulfillment towards this prophecy. We see the advancements of technology in the form of artificial intelligence, in the form of robots. We see so many things that couldn't happen way back. They are now happening. Just like Yahusha said, as it was in the times of Noah, so shall it be when the son of Adam returns. And we spoke about this in the end time series. What were the things that happened in the times of Noah? There was so much advancement in technology in their times. There were Nephilims in their times. There was so much happening. We spoke about it also in the book of Daniel, that the kingdom that we're now living in is the kingdom that is mixing the clay and the iron. But the two are not mixing, but they are still mixing them. And iron referring to technology and clay referring to us as human beings. Until that stone comes, that is not made of human hands, comes and then crushes this whole structure exactly at the feet, exactly where this combination of clay and iron has mixed itself, or is mixing itself. That is Yahusha, who is that rock, that stone that will then cause the entire statue to collapse. Start doing now. Not only in obedience to this commandment that says, thou shalt not have other images. This commandment is still preparing us for that time, but we are doing, even if that time was not going to come, if the time of the beast was never going to come, we would not also bow down to images. We were not going to serve images because Yahweh said so. Because we obey his commandments. Because we love him. And he said, if you love me, obey my commands. So there's certain things that actually the motive for obeying Yahweh must be love. Let me repeat that again. The motive for obeying Yahweh must be love. You must obey, we must obey Yahweh because we love him. We don't obey him because you're scared of hell. You don't obey him because of fear. You are motivated by fear, motivated by the beast, motivated by this and that. It should be, I love Yahweh so much, I cannot afford to offend him. I love him so much, he loves me so much, I cannot afford to cause him, to provoke him to jealousy, to be disobedient to him. I want him to delight in me, and I want to delight myself in him. This is the second commandment, and we can see how the second commandment, speaking of an image, refers to something that you bow down to, something that you serve, something that you worship. Could even be idols of entertainment, of sports, of musicians, actors, actresses, like in Hollywood, of so many idols, so many images that people are really worshipping. Soccer, it's shocking, particularly men, and I'm not saying only men, but in the majority, how men worship soccer. They are even prepared to take bets, even betting with their own wives for a particular soccer team. They would go and scream and lift up their voices and lift up their hands, shouting for their teams in the extreme cold of Europe. That's worship. Right there, that's worship. That's bringing honor to an individual, which you shouldn't be. And obviously it's not just the sport, it's the players, because they're going to worship the individuals, those that are playing. Soccer is not soccer without players. It extends to movies, extends to music, and so forth. These are the things. Political leaders, some people have idolized some political leaders as if without them their country is going to collapse. And that's not true. You are provoking Yahweh to jealousy. These two do not have mighty ones against my face, and do not make yourself a carved image. They are intertwined, they are interlinked. Do not do it. You are provoking Yahweh to jealousy. The third commandment, it says, do not cast the name of Yahweh your Eloah to ruin. To ruin means in vain, of no significance. A lot of people do not even know the name of Yahweh. It's like it does not even exist. I spoke about this in a different teaching, that it was even removed from the Bible, and they put the title God and Lord, and woe to those who did that. But not only woe to those who remove his name, but those, even when they know his name, they still hold on to the title. Only the title. I'm not saying we must not acknowledge him in terms of his title. Eloah is a title, which basically means mighty one, most high. It's a title. But he says, do not forget my name. Call on my name. Praise my name. Bless my name. Whoever calls on the name of Yahweh shall be saved. Psalms 91 says, because you know my name, you shall call upon me and I will hear you. Know his name. His name is Yahuwah, which means I am life. For Yah means I am. And then Hua means life. So he is I am Yahuwah, I am life. And his son also has a name. And his name is Yahusha, which is Yah Usha, I am deliverer. I am deliverer. We also should call on his name. His name is one. It's not translated. One name. The book of Joel says, whosoever calls upon the name of Yahweh shall be saved. Not on the name of the title, not on the name of the Lord. What is his name? Title is his name. He says, if my people, in First Chronicles, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves. What is my name that my people are called by? That's why we see the Yah part on Yisharal's name, on Yahuwah's people's name. Yirmeyahu, which is Jeremiah. It's now called Jeremiah, but it's Yirmeyahu, Yeshayahu, Obadiah. All of them have a Yah at the end. They either have a Yah at the end or they have an Al at the end, which is Al as in Alwa, short for Alwa. Do not cast the name of Yahweh, your Alwa, to ruin. People just thought, do not take his name in vain, as in don't make jokes about it or don't just play around. No. For you not even knowing his name or calling him by his name, you are taking it of no effect. In fact, he says that the names of other Alwa, the names of other mighty ones must not even come from our mouths. We must not mention the names of other mighty ones from our mouths. Only his name must come from our mouths. It's only something that is of no significance to you that you don't even mention with its name. Hasatan has a name. Hasatan is not a name. Hasatan just means there, because Ha means there. Their adversary. Satan means adversary. The adversary. He is our adversary. He is our accuser. That's the title he has. But it's not his name. His name is mentioned in the word, but the way I don't give a hoof about him, really I don't care about him. I don't have respect for him. It's not even worth mentioning his name from my mouth. That's when you do not give reverence, honor, take into account a person if you don't even remember his name, don't even know his name, it doesn't matter. But because he is Yahweh, the creator of the heavens and the earth, do not neglect his name. That's the third commandment. The fourth commandment says, remember the Shabbat day to set it apart. It goes to details why you should remember the Shabbat day, the seventh day. And by the way, because he even goes to say that 6 days you shall work, but on the seventh day you should rest. He says he created all his creations, he created them in 6 days, and he rested on the seventh day, and he set it apart as a Shabbat, and that we are to do likewise. And for that matter, the Shabbat is even celebrated in the Shamayim, in heaven, before we were even instructors as human beings, before we even created to observe it, before we even instructed to observe it. And he talks about that the Shabbat is the sign between myself and my people. It is to be set apart. And there's also it's under the playlist that says Yisharal. Then it says you are Yisharal, we are Yisharal. There is a part there that speaks about the Shabbat. In fact, no, it's under the appointed times. Yes, sorry, pardon me. Under Busi Siwe's YouTube channel, there's under playlist the appointed times of Yahuwah, and there's a whole teaching. It's about an hour's teaching on the Shabbat. Please go and listen to that and learn that it is still applicable in our times. It was not only limited then when it was said. The fifth commandment, it says, respect your father and your mother. It's the only commandment with a promise so that your days be prolonged on earth. The sixth commandment, do not murder. The seventh, do not break wedlock. The eighth, do not steal. The ninth, do not carry a malicious witness against your neighbor. And then the 10th one, do not covet whatever belongs to your neighbor. Do not covet whatever belongs to your neighbor. Whether it's their cars, their house, their wives, their children, their business, their jobs, whatever it is that they have, don't covet it. In closing, as we close, verse 18 says, all the people saw the thunders, the lightning flashes, the sound of the ram's horn, and the mountain smoking. And the people saw it, and they trembled and stood at a distance, and said to Moshe, you speak with us, and we hear, but let not Allah speak with us, lest we die. And Moshe said to the people, do not fear, for Allah has come to prove you, and in order that his fear be before you, so that you do not sin. Yahweh always desires to speak to us, each and every one individually. But people have exalted either they are pastors, either the preachers, either the prophets, either the teachers or the apostles. They have exalted other people to be speaking to them when Yahweh wants to speak to them directly. Make time. He wants to speak to you. Don't be like the children of Yisharal that were so scared of their father, the very same person that delivered them from Misraim, that they said, Moshe, let him speak to you and you give us the message. Hear it yourself firsthand. Don't rely on other people to always be communicating the message of Yahuwah to you. He wants to reveal himself to you for the matter that is specific to your situation. He wants to spend time, intimate time, quality time, loving time with you. He doesn't want, he never intended that there be a middleman, a postman. He wants to speak directly with us. Hence he even writes his commandments in our hearts, that we're not going to go and ask other people, but we will know. Every man, every woman, every child will know Yahuwah's commandments themselves, for they will be inscribed in their hearts, not only written on the tablets of stone, not only written on the scroll or the Bible or the book or the Sefer, whatever. He wants to talk to us. The shepherds, yes, are there to help us, to guide us, but to point us to Yahushua HaMashiach, the author and the finisher of our belief. They are to point us to him, our princely leader. Just like Yahushua himself pointed us to Aleph Bet, pointed us to the Father. For it was Yahuwah who worked in Yahushua HaMashiach, reconciling the world unto himself. So the 10 Commandments are still valid in our times, as they will be while heaven and earth remains. And not only are we obeying him on the 10 Commandments, we are just speaking to the 10 Commandments as Deuteronomy 14, chapter 13 said, and he made known to you his covenant, which he commanded you to do, the 10 Commandments, which he wrote on the table of stones. Shalom.